everybody, and welcome back to the Good Enough Gaming Podcast. Hey.
Hi there.
This week's episode is entitled, We Love Hands-On. Daryl, why'd you make me say these things?
Eyebrows intensify.
Oh, it gets better.
Some things are just better in the palm of your hands. You know what I'm talking about. A nice cold beer, your first paycheck, a set of dice, and immersive handheld systems and games. Today, we are here to talk about the best things to ever grace our hands. In terms of games, you filthy-minded fucks. So let us know if we got it right. Or if we missed some absolute gems, or just made the worst list of games you've ever fucking heard. We are here for it all.
Enjoy. Can I give you a hand?
Hey. So I just want to confirm. We're talking like pre ROG Ally, pre Steam Deck. Like we're talking like
like real handheld.
Like
systems.
not a computer tablet thing.
No.
Okay.
I would say we cap it at like a PSP.
Yeah. That's sort of what I was thinking. Like that's kind of the end of the line.
Even the Switch is like
no.
That's a console.
Yeah.
That is not a. There's a console that happens to be able to be portable.
So like 3DS and PS
DS
is like your newest handheld.
Prime time.
Yeah.
For you old heads.
I would say Vita's even too good. Like because Vita had like movies and stuff on it. Yeah, that's like no.
But it's a dedicated handheld device.
Vita was a dedicated handheld that had games developed specifically for it.
Well, so does the Switch.
Weird. Which is also probably why it fucking failed, but
yeah. No, they're proprietary.
Anyways, we're getting into semantics here. Let's just enjoy the handheld game bit we have here. As we just get into a heated argument about our own fucking convoluted rules system.
You're going to get me all fired about these $200 fucking memory cards. I'm going to start
just an hour of commentary about what is and isn't a handheld gaming device.
Worst episode ever.
Backbone.
Somehow, I don't know how we get negative listens on an episode. People would like play it in reverse and just like, oh god.
God, these guys are idiots.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong there.
No, we're collectively awesome though.
Yeah.
Just enough brain cells together, you know. So
we're good.
Yes. I want to share like one of my earliest handheld memories.
I don't know if that's like again. For the radio, but
it's not PG. Like YouTube, we'll get flagged for sure, Kyle.
It was a Tuesday, 9 p.m. The wind was blowing.
I took her to see The Notebook.
Heat, breeze blowing against my skin.
There was no Dune popcorn bucket, but.
The Orange Crush.
Oh my god!
The Orange Crush drink was just hitting different that day, you know.
Just a Baja Blast. All right, Kyle.
Okay, let Kyle tell the story of his first hand job. Let's go.
We brought it up. Ah, fuck me. Where do I go from
here? just ignore it. You just have to.
Yeah. Just push on.
So the first and probably actually like only handheld system I really had was like just a legit Game Boy, but we've talked about it before. It was a like clear case.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The brick, like, the big one too.
The brick. Yeah. Pokemon Blue and Wario World.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one.
Wario World
that game was good.
Yeah.
If we had like a game timer to count how many hours we put into that, easily hundreds.
I love that game.
It was so fun, and there was like it was challenging. It wasn't easy. No. I gotta find I feel like it was Wario World.
Yeah, it was right? Yeah, Wario World 1 or 2, I think.
Yeah, and we played that shit like end to end to the point where like Yeah, there was no stone left unturned.
No, that game was
Nothing
so good. Like they
left.
took everything from the original like Mario side scrollers and then just like added stuff to it. Like that game was just so fantastic for the time.
I gave it a wow out of 10.
Nice.
Ah.
Yeah.
Pokemon Blue and Red were phenomenal games, like just revolutionary in its time. I remember everybody in junior high like
Everybody.
playing those games, and I was so jealous I didn't have a Game Boy, so it was like just living vicariously through everyone else. And I'm like, yo, but can I go hustle everyone else for their cards? Like, can I rip you off and take your Pokemon cards or what? But yeah, man.
So recently I was telling Jordan this. So I got one of those DS, like hacked DS cards that's got 100 and something games on it. So I went back and I started playing, it was Soul Silver. So like the better version of the remade version of Pokemon. So like in our show notes in the future, we have a potential episode of the best sequel ever made. Pokemon Silver and Gold is my argument for the best sequel ever made ever.
Wow.
It was the first game. So you've got the crafting system. You had all new Pokemon. You had 2 worlds. You had the night and day cycle, which is huge. Like I don't think any other game really did that aside from maybe Ocarina of Time. Yeah. And then you had like these randomized characters, like Pokemon Gold and Silver by far to me, like especially for that time, best sequel ever made.
It even had the replayability value where it had the cell phone feature, so you could beat every NPC trainer, and then randomly you'd get a phone call being like, "Hey, you remember me on Route 24? You whooped my ass. I want a fucking rematch. Come meet me again."
Yeah.
And
like,
you forget to go back.
Come get some.
You forget to go back for 20 hours, and you're like, "Oh no!" Like your mom saves your money for you. I mean, like, what's that like?
Yeah. In this economy, get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that game is incredible. And then you beat the Elite Four, you think you're done the game, and then all of a sudden the entire original region opens up to you. You're like,
this is crazy.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild.
So I know like getting your hands on an actual copy of Soul Silver or Heart Gold is fucking like they made like one run of it and they just never did it again, and they never put it on the digital store. And
it's
the
that's
3DS
the
store is
factor for all of those games.
The 3DS store is closed now. But if you can on Amazon, there's usually a rotation because I think these people get shut down. But you can get these chips, like the SD cards, whatever they are, for your DS that come with like 180 something games. It's usually on there. They've got all the Pokemon up to that point.
Let's go.
They're like $30. Like, just get one of those.
Yeah.
There's so many games. I went back through that thing today. I was like, oh man, I've got so many games to play.
So good.
So for reference, I'm looking at eBay now because I'm curious.
Yeah.
Soul Silver, I'm seeing like 110, 160, 200.
Oh.
Yeah. But see, the crazy thing about it too with those games is there's so many replica copies out there. So you'll even spend $150 on one of those.
And you'll get a knockoff.
And it's a knockoff. It's not even a true copy of the original game. That's the wild thing about those.
So
that's the hard part about the original cartridges. Like the actual Game Boy ones, like red, blue, yellow, gold, and silver, the originals, like those ones, to get an actual legitimate copy of those that isn't a knockoff or like a is insane. It's so hard to do.
Just get an emulator. Like, just save yourself the hassle.
Yeah, unless you're a collector and you gotta have physical for everything. Yeah, I mean, mod it. You know,
if you got the money.
You know,
I know some of this Nintendo's, like some of the Game Boy stuff is coming back to the Switch, and I think they're gonna further do that. And I mean, that's my other argument is like with the DS was the first round of Nintendo like emulation remakes. So you can play Ocarina of Time, you can play Super Mario 64 on your DS, right? Like, and for some reason it feels like it belongs there more than it did on the original. Like, it plays so well on these things. They made little adjustments. The graphics feel correct. Not like try to play like, you know, GoldenEye on some projector screen nowadays. They're like, oh, the pixels are as big as me.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time on the 3DS honestly plays phenomenal. Like you said, it looks good, it feels good. Like
it's probably fine on the Switch too, but
it does feel like it belongs on that system. I agree with you for sure.
Yeah,
very cool.
But yeah, no, handhelds. There's been so many over the years. Like my first introduction to it was the Sega Game Gear.
I played Sonic on that thing at the dentist office.
The battery destroyer.
Yeah.
6 AA batteries to power that thing, and it would just fucking melt. It would melt through those so fast. But I got that for Christmas one year, and I was so psyched. I got a copy of Mega Man, which for the Game Gear, I think it was like a redone copy of Mega Man 3, I think it was. And then I had Lion King, which was fucking infuriating.
So hard.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
It's supposed to be a kid's game. It's like one of the hardest games of all time.
It's like the best marketing scheme.
Fucking terrible. I had Sonic 2.
Classic.
And then randomly Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. I will remember.
Sounds like Dr. Mario. Dr. Mario Tetris.
I will remember the name of that game for my entire life.
It sounds like a terrible game.
What was the game?
It's like Tetris, but it's in the Sonic universe.
So it's Dr. Mario, Dr. Mario Tetris.
Yeah. So, but that was my first
Bean Machine.
The amount of hours I put into Mega Man on the Game Gear, just like laying down on the couch. Fucking Game Gear this close to my face.
Yep.
You know, who cares about eyesight and vision? You know?
You're sitting too close to the TV.
Yeah. But
he said from behind his glasses.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that was all just nonsense, like the don't crack your knuckles.
Yeah. I think so too.
You choose to believe.
And then I got in huge trouble. I got in huge trouble in the Pokemon days because my parents wouldn't get me a Game Boy. And so I ended up borrowing a buddy of mine, his Game Boy. He had Pokemon Red and he let me borrow it and take it home. And I got caught playing it under the covers in the middle of the night. And my parents thought I stole the Game Boy from this kid. And fuck, I was in so much trouble for that.
I also did something similar. I remember that.
Except Daryl actually stole it.
No.
Sucker punched the kid, took it home.
No, I did borrow a Game Boy from one of my friends, and then I borrowed Pokemon Gold from a family I used to help babysit. It's like, we were there frequently. But I definitely borrowed that. I played the crap out of that. It was awesome. Pokemon Gold was great.
Oh, yeah.
Pokemon Gold and Silver were so good.
Did anyone ever actually have the fucking cable? The connector cable? Not
until I was older.
Yeah.
Like, until we decided, like some of the guys from my high school, we were like, we all got a Game Boy. We all have a copy of this.
Bringing Pokemon back.
You have 5 days to level up, and then we're gonna battle. And so, like, we just we did it that way. It was hilarious. I'll never forget that because I'm pretty sure the last file on Pokemon Blue that I have is like I named Gengar Chris Angel and Alakazam David Blaine, and I just had like the best names for everybody. Like
very 2000s of you.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Mind freak.
Man, can you imagine like the invention of like the Nintendo Street Pass system and Wi-Fi, how much that affected their like secondary part sales? It's like the anti-Apple effect where they're like, here's another dongle connector for your thing. We're like, no, we're going wireless.
Yeah.
But we won't sell any cords.
Yeah. What about the cords?
It's backlit screen, but we won't sell any flashlight attachments that you have to hook onto the top of it with the magnifying glass.
The magnifying screen.
What about the Pokemon?
Lights?
The Pokemon printer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you remember Do you remember the Game Boy camera?
God, we are dating ourselves so hard.
That was part of the Pokemon printer because it was part of Pokemon Snap. You could get a camera attachment that printed a shitty ass
like dot matrix.
Yeah, like a pixelated fucking.
I remember wanting one of those so bad. I was like, this is stupid. What? Yeah. I blame Nintendo Power.
Okay.
I blame a lot of things on Nintendo Power, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
Back when magazines were cool.
That and like Rogers Video, seeing ads and posters at Rogers Video.
My mom would leave me in the magazine aisle at the grocery store sometimes so I could just read through like Car and Driver and Nintendo Power and Wizard magazine, and I'd be like, okay, I want this, I want this, I want this.
Do you guys remember like when like Game Boy was at its peak? Do you guys remember some of the fucking awesome ads in the magazines? Like the kid at prom and he's like dancing, but he's playing Game Boy like over her shoulder. Like just some of the 90s marketing for that was phenomenal.
Save room for Mario.
Yeah. Unhinged, like absolutely unhinged marketing for like the Game Boy and the Sega.
They really wanted us to be degenerates with it. Like they really just.
And they didn't care about our well-being back then. How many games can they sell? How many Game Boys can they sell?
Yeah.
All that matters.
Wow, we really got off the rails there. Let's get
it's okay.
I'm gonna throw this one out there because I don't know if it counts as a handheld. I feel like it does a little bit, but it's a cool story anyway. So you guys remember Tamagotchis, right?
Oh yeah.
And I feel like everybody had one at
my sister had one.
Yeah. They actually made a Digimon.
Yeah, and you could connect them.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't meet anybody that ever fucking knows this. So yeah, you could connect them with like a little magnetic
you could battle
piece, and then you could battle each other on it. And like to me,
that
was the coolest shit.
Those are like the little boys Tamagotchis, because Tamagotchi was for everyone, just the preface, but it did cater more to the girl side. And then they're like, okay, let's make something cool for boys. And Digimon was like, hold my beer, I got this. And
we're
like
not gonna make a game, but we'll make a Tamagotchi.
We're gonna make a Tamagotchi, but the only difference is they fight each other. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, exact same otherwise.
Yeah. That was so cool. I remember fighting kids on the playground, fucking laying down bets. That was great.
Now
I think I'm gonna jump in on that quick. I think the success of that like would not have the same effect nowadays because of streaming and because of the way advertising works.
Optimize your Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
What's the meta?
Yeah,
What's the meta to
everyone would know how to get everyone would know how to get War Greymon or whatever. Yeah. Like everyone would like
power level your Tamagotchi.
That's the thing. Like Tamagotchi, it was all like word of mouth on like how to do stuff, and you would have one friend who had an older sibling that was like, oh yeah, you just do this, this, and this, and it's like, oh,
someone slightly more adult who could figure it out.
Yeah.
You have to feed it. You have to.
Even just the concept of like, oh yeah, my cousin's playing this new game Pokemon. You ever heard of it? And you're like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
You know,
it's not the same now. Like you got all that advertising on cable TV, on YTV.
Give me some Ninja Turtles cartoon commercials.
If you weren't buying YTV time, you weren't selling shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Nickelodeon, I guess, in the States.
Yeah.
You want some tantrum poison drink? Watch our commercial on YTV.
Surge.
Fuck. Sunny D should have never entered my household, but it did because of
it's
awful.
Even as a kid, I was just like, huh.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you bought Sunny D again. Yeah. Can I just have regular orange juice?
I'll take 5 alive. Thanks.
or you're just the Dave Chappelle kid in the background.
What the fuck is juice?
Give me some of that purple stuff.
Oh my god! Wow, that's went.
Sunny D purple was also disgusting.
Oh,
what?
Wasn't there purple like a grape version?
I didn't know that existed.
Or something equivalent to Sunny D. There was like a purple drink. Either way.
I remember purple ketchup.
Oh, yep.
There was purple and blue.
This might be the most off topic we've ever gone on an episode.
I think I think
this is just straight nostalgia. We can't. We're talking about old handheld games, and like everything else is just resonating.
Remember Pogs? Like,
hey, no metal slammers.
You guys remember Crazy Bones?
Crazy Bones on your tech deck?
Yeah.
So good. Yeah,
Okay.
so good.
This episode has been renamed Member Berries.
Only 90s kids will remember.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Holy shit, guys.
Okay, I'm gonna say a game now because I'm gonna come back to this and get us back on topic.
Fucking waiting.
Trevor's been waiting.
Just sitting here waiting. So
hey guys, do you remember
shut the fuck
scooters?
I can't remember. There was a game we had talked about a while ago, and I can't remember what it was, where if one person owned the game, you could share it with people.
Ooh, shareware.
And I can't remember what that was, but I remember. So this was like same thing, super nostalgic memory. We were on a road trip for basketball, and I was in grade 8, and we stopped. And one of the guys on our team had a Nintendo DS. This was right when the DS came out. I was like, fuck it. I had all this like saved up money. I was like, screw it. I'm just going to buy a DS because we're on a bus for 10 hours.
Yep.
Mario Kart DS, which then became Mario Kart 7, which essentially like impacted all of the new Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart DS
canon event
with their new like Wi-Fi, whatever Street Pass system. You could play Mario Kart DS with, I think it was up to 7 people.
Damn.
And only one of you had to own the game.
What?
One person had to have the cartridge in, and you could like split wire it. Like you had to play co-op to like race your buddies or whatever.
Wow.
But like classic couch battle Mario Kart on a DS, and only one person had to own the fucking game.
That's crazy. I didn't know you could do that.
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was just in the DS, not like Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS, which is the same thing. But
dang.
That's super.
No wonder Nintendo kiboshed that quick.
Well, no shit.
Yeah, like that was, yeah, I could see them. That's problematic.
That is a Nintendo move. 100%.
That is terrible for money, but
that's crazy. It's funny you say that because like I bought my Nintendo Advance SP, like the one that was like the flip up one, when we were in Louisville for Junior Olympics because I was gone for like 6 days. And I was like, fuck it. I'm buying a Nintendo. Like, I was like, I don't care. My parents gave me all this money for food. I'm just going to
buy a Nintendo.
I'm going to buy a Nintendo and I'm going to eat scraps while we go out for dinner.
The best decision.
Yeah.
I support this.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. I'm really happy about it now. Yeah.
Oh, so dumb.
I jumped pretty deep. Like, I went I did the Game Boy. And then I didn't own anything else until I got a PSP in high school. And then after that, like I went back to the Game Boy Advance and the DS and 3DS, but I didn't buy those until much later when I had a job and I was like, oh, I can waste my money on stupid shit. But like the PSP in high school, I had the God of War limited edition one. It was bright red. And on the back of the back of like the battery panel was like the painted stuff like across it. Like the detail was sick. But the two games that I played the most of, rather than doing shop class stuff, I would just sit there and play games with my buddy. Dragon Ball Z Tenkai, like Budokai Tenkaichi.
Tenkaichi,
yeah, played the fuck out of that fighting game. I'm glad there's no time counter on handhelds. And then the other one was God of War, the God of War game that was for handheld.
Oh, was it Ascension?
Chains of Olympus was.
I
think the first one anyway.
Yeah.
But like it basically took like the PS2 God of War games and somehow through magic they made an original game on the PSP. Like, I don't know how that's even possible, but that game was phenomenal. I probably played through that thing 25, 30 times.
Yep. And that was like a canon thing too. Like that was back when PlayStation was like, if you own a PlayStation, you must own a Vita and have like these canon game events. Like talk to if you have a friend who's into Kingdom Hearts, God forbid.
Oh man.
Ask them about that because that is fucked up. But that was the thing. They're like, here's the 3 versions that you had to play on PSP and PS Vita for this to make sense. But like they've sold so well that they were like, yeah, we can do that. Like,
side note on Kingdom Hearts, that is the most convoluted
so
story.
Confusing.
Like, it's an impossible story to follow. It's if you haven't started from game one and played every single one of them until the very last one, you'll have no fucking idea what's going on in that unit.
This feels like YouTube recap worthy.
Even then,
I don't even know. You got 15 hours?
Yeah,
there was a podcast. There was a podcast that I used to listen to, and it was called. Funny enough, it was called "What's Good Games." And one of the hosts, I think her husband was a developer, but whatever. But she essentially wrote a book to cover what the fuck was happening in Kingdom Hearts because it was so confusing.
Is it like an encyclopedia-sized
Pretty
novel?
much,
like,
right? Because some stuff is like before or after, and this is canon. It's just like, this is too much. Like, reset the franchise, or just like don't give a shit because this shouldn't make sense.
I knew it was never a game I was going to play when it was like, here's Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 2.2, 2.5, like 2.75, 3, 3.2, and I was like, nope.
No.
Now we're doing
that. I'm out. And somehow 3.2 takes place in the story previous to like.
Yeah, I was like,
it's like, how does that make any fucking sense? But okay. Yeah, no, I'm out.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
I mean, I was pretty good at math in high school, but damn.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah. I was terrible at math in high
My
school.
turn.
I know that even that's bullshit.
I haven't got to go yet.
I was going to cut Daryl off.
Go, Daryl, go.
So I'm going 3DS era as well. I don't think I've ever played a Fire Emblem game as much as I have played Fire Emblem Awakening. That's my
favorite. Your Awakening.
It was. But I think that's my favorite Fire Emblem of all time. That's like the introduction of the romance leading to a child quest kind of system. So your match, like your pairings of people have direct connotations to the skills that the kids are born with. Like, so like you can create kind of masterclass sibling, like children and siblings. Like you can create some pretty cool stuff that way. So that game I beat like 4 or 5 times over. I think.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And my one play file alone has like 380 hours on it, I think.
Oh,
gross.
Yeah. So it's like kind of wild, but that's the one where I got everyone to max level, every single character. I did all the DLC, I did all the bonus battles. I did like
everyone banged.
Yeah, everybody had a baby.
It's so funny it took them that long to do that with like people characters, because like Pokemon Red and Blue, your Pokemon are fucking like
everybody's fucking Ditto.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ditto be fucking.
Yeah.
The things I never thought I would hear.
And so that's how I got into ranching.
And that's how they created Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Spiritual successor.
Oh my god.
Is that what Animal Crossing means?
That's what it means.
Yeah. Checks out.
I need a break. I need to.
I think we all do.
Oh my god. Okay. We're gonna shift so that we can stop talking about Ditto fucking, and Daryl's gonna take us on another adventure through the Fantasy Face-Off. Fantasy Face-Off. Fight.
All right. Welcome to Fantasy Face-Off, where I pit 2 figures, whether they're real people or fictional, against each other. They're in what I call the Danger Dome in a fight to the death, and we vote on who we think would win, come out on top, and finish off their opponent. So, this week, we're going technological. We're getting futuristic with it. And this is going to be tough for Jordan, I think. Maybe not. But I have Optimus Prime versus Wing Gundam.
Ooh.
So human controlled, sentient. It's the difference here.
Jordan's so sad right now. We're talking OG truck Optimus Prime,
OG,
right?
no bonuses, no like
no beasties,
no Michael Bay fucking
no like no add-ons, no I combined with somebody else that gave me wings and a giant gun or whatever. Like it's just plain old Optimus Prime and
with his
Wing Gundam sword. Basic model.
What? Okay, so OG,
no sword.
OG Gundam is what we're saying.
OG Gundam, OG Optimus. Like we're talking 80s cartoon.
But to preface, the OG Gundam does have a laser sword. So
Optimus had a sword. Optimus had a sword. That's fine.
Optimus gets his sword. The sword on sword.
Because in the OG Transformers movie, Optimus has a sword.
That's true. That is true.
Is it a sword or an axe?
It might be an axe, but
I think it's an axe.
Yeah.
Axe and sword. Okay, one weapon each. Fair game. It's even Steven in the field.
Okay. This is the only like it's like a close fight.
Yeah, I think this is even.
The only thing that is going to propel Optimus Prime over the Gundam is a Vince DiCola soundtrack.
You got the touch. You got the touch. You got the power.
Yeah, it's very like 80s
so
synth rock, but like that's on his side too. I count that as a benefit.
That's on his side.
Yeah,
because he plays it in the cassette tape inside the truck.
No, yeah.
No,
I mean, that would be sound.
It's an 8-track.
Yeah, Soundwave's just off in the distance in his beatbox form. Just
you know what's crazy? As soon as you brought up like original Optimus Prime, all I can hear is like that like very specific sound effect of his like gun, like his arm.
Yeah,
that's all I hear.
Locked in.
I'm calling Optimus
Prime
purely for the Vince DiCola soundtrack backing him as he beats the shit out of the gun.
You got the power.
Vince DiCola, the original C4.
What a weird
Trev, I'm gonna
point.
let you go first because I'm still brewing here.
I gotta go with Kyle.
Oh, it don't matter
because you're talking about a sentient being. Like I assume they're roughly the same size. Like they've got to be.
It seems like it. They would be. Overall,
but you're talking about a sentient, knowledgeable being who can fucking shapeshift, essentially, versus like a dude that's essentially in a control room with like, I mean, we've all experienced input lag in our life, right? Like when you're like, oh, and the arm's just like, oh, right? Like, what kind of FPS is the thing running on? So I think to me, that's the only reason is like, because Optimus is like fully self-aware of like, I mean, I'm sure it takes a lot of skill to drive a Gundam, but like, it's like driving a car. You're like, where is like the end of my hood really? Right? Like, where's my bumper? Whereas like Optimus is like, that's my hands. And
that's my
like,
ass.
Yeah. Like he's well aware of like his limits, whereas there's someone sitting in a little room driving a robot.
That's Cybertron's ass.
Yeah.
That's fair. A lot of good points. Well, it pains me to say.
Oh.
I think Optimus wins, but it's for none of the reasons the other two fuckers mentioned.
Oh.
It's purely just it's wartime and battle experience. You're taking a guy that's been through the shit, he's been in the trenches, he's seen some things, versus essentially a refugee teenager who was never meant to pilot the Gundam, like the OG Gundam. That was never meant to be his in the first place. And so he's just kind of figuring it out as he goes. And it largely works for him due to fucking arrogance from the enemy. It just thinks he doesn't know what he's doing.
But now that begs the question.
Isn't Optimus 2 a child of war?
No,
a refugee.
Can an Autobot get PTSD?
Yes. But
that is a discussion for another day.
George, you have a sick Gundam, Matt.
It makes me sad to say Optimus because,
we do. I know you love Gundam.
It's Optimus.
The power of the cube.
Like I just think of like the
I'm putting all the sound effects on this. Oh, you're listening back to this. Yes, I'm putting all the sound effects on this.
We need some Vince DiCola, please.
You got the touch.
You've got the power.
Oh, great song.
I need to go back and watch that.
I wonder if there's a record for how many times like one song has been used in a movie.
Like just repeated.
And I'm curious if
that might win
in Michael Bay's version, if the Linkin Park What I've Done is anywhere in close competition to the original.
It's gotta be close. It's gotta be close.
They play little bits of it a bunch, and I'm wondering if they were thinking the same thing. They're like, we're gonna take one song. We just need one song.
We're gonna play
one
song only.
One song only.
Yeah.
My Humps by the Black Eyed Peas. Gets people going.
It's true.
Looking at a real athlete's body. Well, thank you for coming to Fantasy Face Off. And, Optimus Prime, the winner. Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? Are we idiots or are you just delusional? You decide and let us know.
Why not both?
I go for both.
Yeah. Both is good. Okay, handhelds. We're back.
All right. Handhelds.
First base.
Need my handheld through the rest of the episode. Go, Trev.
I was going to say, there is a very specific game that is related to things and has been re-released recently that I'm surprised both Jordan and Daryl haven't brought up.
Why was
Final Fantasy Crisis Core.
Yep, I was about to.
I was saving it for later.
Oh, sorry.
Jeez, Trev.
I'm literally wearing Rebirth with Zach on my shirt.
Oh, Zach. The purest of love.
Poor guy.
I got in recent memory, I can't think of a game that started maybe aside from you could claim Pokemon, but I can't think of a game that started as a handheld game and then got a remaster to play on a main console system.
Yeah, and man, did it ever show that it was a handheld game when it came onto the console.
Big oof. It's still fun to play. Big oof. Just wow, this... It's so funny because going from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, going to that game, it feels like playing the newest Pokemon on Switch. We're just it's just empty fields of nothing.
Yeah.
And there's a character over there. You're just like, ooh, this is... they did a good job in some of the other areas, like the cities and stuff. There's some good detail in those aspects, but then just the environments, you're like, oh man, this game's old.
Yeah. Honestly, it is one of those games that would have really benefited from getting the remake coding that Final Fantasy VII got. Well, it is kind of weird that it's we're going to fully remake 7 and turn it into a trilogy, but the prequel? Fuck no, you get a remaster.
Well, I think it was just you needed to reintroduce everyone to that character because I've hit the point of this game now where I'm getting deeper into what's going to happen in the third installment. Right. And it's essentially it's important to know what happened in Crisis Core so you have a connection with Zack before he becomes a main player. And so redoing that one and giving it the remaster treatment wouldn't have done what's happening now any service. Just replaying the game and having it accessible for everyone to play, I think was the most important thing for the direction. I get it now. Otherwise, Jordan, before playing Rebirth, I'm with you. I'm like, what the hell? It's so funny to me because in the original Final Fantasy VII, you have to play kind of an hour and a half, maybe longer in some cases to get to the next save point in certain areas just to be able to save and finish and exit the game. Crisis Core has an obnoxious amount of save points. It's you can play for 10 minutes and be like, okay, I'm done. And just save and fuck off. And there's a billion of them everywhere. And I just laugh at it every time. But yeah, it's not it's not an easy play, even with like a remastering. Like it's not like I played through it. I didn't enjoy it. I remember like all of the janky like side game stuff that was included in the first one. And I was like, oh my God, like going down the waterfall correctly and stuff like that. I was like, no, don't. It's tied to trophies. And I was so pissed off. I was like, okay. But
yeah, no, that stuff doesn't age well at all. And again, I think you're right. It, you know, they remastered it for story continuity, but I mean, realistically, that game should never be played on a big TV and
no,
you know, in like a couch experience, right?
It definitely felt like they were like, okay, we need to like, not that freaking Zack and Cloud don't have 90%. They're like Goku and Vegeta. It's like 90% of the same character model.
Yeah.
But it was like, it felt like they were doing like a tech demo of like, okay, we got to make sure his character works properly and like all of this stuff, right? It's just like, and then like the graphics were like just a little bit less than what you get in the new games. But yeah, like it was one of those games I was like, I got to get through this story because I'm not doing anything on the side. I'm not doing trophies. I'm not doing bonus content. Like, get me out of here.
Yeah, I am.
It was really good on PSP though. Like I remember when it was a PSP game and I was like, man, this fucking slaps. Like this is so good. But now it did not hold.
Well, at the time it was just a Final Fantasy game on that now is on handheld. Now you're like, oh, this is a handheld game in the era of Final Fantasy VII, like remaster, right? Where you're like, ooh.
There's been a lot of games that have come out in between then and now.
Comparing the two,
looking a little rough around the edges there.
It's the only handheld game that I think I've ever shed a tear. Like the ending of Crisis Core
is really good.
It's phenomenal, and like the music and just everything hit the way that you want it to. But yeah, I couldn't imagine going back and replaying it now. Like it's just. To me, that's a one-off game. You play it, you understand the characters, and then you move on.
Following that suit, though, like, and on the PSP era, because like I did give my favorite Game Boy game of all time. The one game I played on the PSP the most is still in that franchise, but it was actually Final Fantasy Dissidia, the first one, which is where
that is.
So it's taking all the main characters from Final Fantasy 1 through. I think it goes up to 12 in the first one. Ends on Zodiac Age, I'm pretty sure. And it takes the main villain and the main character of it, and you play as all of them. And it's like Smash Bros, but 3-dimensional. So you're going on all these levels and you're fighting against the other characters in like different battles. Like there's 4 of you. It's 2-on-2, 1-on-3, like it doesn't matter. And you're leveling up the characters and gaining new skills with them, just so you can have like an easier battle. You're like unlocking their limit break moves and everything. It actually was super fun. I
like
really
Final
enjoyed
Fantasy
that game.
Greatest Hits.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was. They ruined it when they put it on console and the PS4 era and went to Dissidia and NXT. That game got absolutely shit on by everyone because it became one of those first models of the like pay for this content, pay for this character, pay for like the sword, pay for whatever, and it got ripped on hard. It didn't have the same pull that the first game did, which I thought was a great product. I thought the first Dissidia was a great handheld game.
There's so many characters to pull from. It's such a rich franchise that you could easily make a fighting game or any
entirely out of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
It was the closest thing to a Final Fantasy fighting game I think I was ever going to get, and I was like, I'm into this. Like, this is great.
Yeah, like now, to me, if PlayStation was to ever do like a like their own version of a Smash Bros. or even do like a almost like a Tekken, like an arena fighter. Like to me, they would have half of the characters would be Final Fantasy, and then the other half they would pull from their own franchises.
Isn't Sephiroth in Smash Bros?
And Cloud. Sephiroth and Cloud are in it. Yeah.
Thank you, Kyle.
Sephiroth.
Okay, so I have a question, and this actually came up out of I think multiple, like all of us sent it to Daryl today, that there was an emulator released for like on the Apple Store where you could emulate Final Fantasy VII. Do you feel like the emergence of smartphones killed the handheld game industry?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I made the joke earlier, but like the backbone device and other things like that have been sort of created around using your phone as the main device, even as the connection screen for remote play from your own system, has kind of changed the way that we look at handheld gaming, in the sense that if I have access to my regular powered system or my PC content through anything handheld, like why the hell am I buying a regular handheld, like only sort of like system, where now I think everything is just going to be very much like the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally.
I would even take it one step further and say that the introduction of social media has played a massive effect on it too, because
fucking
now,
Angry Birds.
Well, I think for a lot of people, it's the attention span consideration. Like, I think a lot of developers and a lot of game studios are worried that people would even have the attention span to sit on public transit or to be on an airplane or on a road trip. And am I going to pull out my cell phone and be able to get 30-second intervals of fucking dopamine and look at my reels? Or am I going to pull out a little gaming handheld and play, a Final Fantasy for 2.5 hours for this drive? Like, honestly, I think nowadays most people would go to the 30-second dopamine hit, right?
Yeah. That being said, I still have your DS XL that you lent me for the Orlando trip. And I played Shovel Knight on that for like 3 hours straight.
It's so good.
And I looked up and like, oh, we're about to land.
We're here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played when Kyle and I flew out to Orlando. I played a Yu-Gi-Oh game I had got because I had just rewatched that entire show, and I found a game that I could play like every match from the original television show, which I was like, oh, that's sick. And then I got. I was playing Mario Strikers because I was like, okay, I'm just going to have something to mess around with and try some of the new characters and stuff that I never got to once it updated, like Shy Guy and stuff. And then Smash Bros, because I'll just rip some Smash Bros. But like, if I'm not going on a long trip, then I think I'm just as guilty. Like, I'll just end up being on my phone.
Yeah.
I always laugh.
Scroll culture.
Anytime I've been on a flight, like the flight attendant will come by and I'll be like, yeah, can I get like a whiskey or like something? And I'm sitting there usually playing Pokemon.
Yeah.
And they're just like, they usually just kind of look at me. They're like, okay, like, sure.
Yeah.
But
I just want to get lit while I catch this.
Yeah.
So I'm just here to have a good time. I'm on vacation.
I mean, I love handhelds. And I mean, I'm sure with us growing up in the era that we did, it plays a big part of it. But like, I did the flight to Japan, which was 15 hours, and I took my Ally with me, and I played Baldur's Gate 3 for most of the flight there and back. And it was like, Kyle's comment, I'd look up and be like, holy shit, we only have 3 hours left of a 15-hour flight. Like, what the fuck just happened? So
got into the game.
I love handheld gaming. I think there's still a place for it.
Well, absolutely, especially with the advancements with the Steam Deck, with the Ally. There's a lot more power that it can pack in a handheld. If you had shown like kid us that here's this whole fucking like computer in your hand, you wouldn't have believed it.
Blow my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think, and it's nice to see now too, there's like the mix, right? Like we have obviously like the app pay to win bullshit, but then like there are still now like the extension of games, like you can play Marvel Snap on your phone and on Steam, right? Like that is a game that they're like, it's for everything, right? And aside from maybe Nintendo, because they are very protective of all of their stuff. Like I could see more stuff going that way. In the same, I mean, like after Stick of Truth, like South Park made another JRPG style
phone destroyer.
Phone destroyer, yeah.
I played that a lot.
It was great. It made my phone extremely hot, and it was a phone destroyer. But that's the thing, right? They were like, "Hey, let's make a 4 mobile game."
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah, just an extension of the others. Yeah, it was really good.
I think mobile gaming has overtaken handheld gaming, but like in the portability sense, but with the resurgence of the Steam Deck and the Ally, it's sort of taken it up a notch for those that are actually serious and want to use that as a travel device.
Yeah, like a dedicated device.
But like to further your point, like even the mobile gaming seem to have like more fleshed out actual games being released like for each device, and then like you're like, well, open up Netflix on your iPad or a computer, and now there are games attached to it. Like
I always forget about that.
It is. It's everywhere now, in the sense that a lot of these games, like due to the memory like that it takes up, and cloud gaming being a service on lots of these different companies, like Shell, like it's just there, and we're seeing more emulation stuff pop up that is just readily available to everyone because all the licensing and copyright stuff has ran out, and so it's just it's really easy to pick up anything on any device now, it seems. And where the mobile games for a long time were kind of the gotcha mechanics, and there's still a lot of that. And then like paywalls and things like that, where you're it's trying to, those ones really try to hit dopamine and suck you in for long bouts and give you like rewards that you keep coming back and stuff like that. But I see more complete games hitting mobile gaming more than ever right now.
Well, I think kind of like what Tunser talked about last week too, is like there's too many games out.
Yeah.
And like you really, like this day and age, you really have to sift through the shit to find a decent one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and it's so easy now to publish a game on a service, like even mobile has always been known for having shovelware launching on it, and Steam as well. There's just a bunch of shovelware crap that gets published on those platforms. But now it's even trickled into the home console market. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever looked through the Nintendo eShop on the Switch.
It's a dangerous place.
Some of the games on there only cost, they're like 90% off, and it's $1.75.
Yeah.
But like if you buy that game and look at it, it's fucking trash. It shouldn't even have made it through and put onto that store. And like, I know PlayStation's been called out on that a few times. They've had some like borderline hentai waifu type shit.
Those are everywhere.
Yeah,
that's been on there. So like, I think there might need to be more strict rules or like a vetting process for these. Like, I don't know what the answer is, but there's got to be something more strict to stop these games from being published.
A big one though, I think, for like say Kyle or for other people our age who have kids coming up, and you're like, I can't just start my kid on Elden Ring. And maybe you do want to, like, maybe you didn't collect all your consoles from back in the day, like getting a 3DS or something and being able to get one of those like multi-chips or some sort of a hacked system. You can like a lot of those now have so many of the original classics on it. It's like a great way to be like, here's not my phone that's worth thousands of dollars. Here's a $150 Nintendo DS or whatever. And like being able to like share that experience of what you grew up with so many, like especially Nintendo with so many re-releases and remakes and whatever. Being able to like give that to kids in a way that like still makes sense. Right? Like putting it on a 4K HD TV, it's going to look like shit. And it's going to play like shit, honestly.
But in your hands, it's going to look just fine.
It feels like that's where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You have me thinking about things.
Yeah. And that was the big thing when the last iteration of 3DS came out, right? They did the 2DS, right? Because no one in the history of the 3DS has ever turned that feature on, and if they have, they must have a stomach of steel and just like the best eyes, because that shit hurts your brain.
I turned it off immediately and never went back on ever again.
You might as well tape it off, right? Yeah. And that's why they did the 2DS. They're like, here's a version for kids. It's a bit more robust. It's like a solid thing.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it was designed for. It's like, here, play the newest Pokemon and maybe play some of the classics.
Yeah. Nice.
I think Trevor hit the nail on the head. I think that exact reason right there is why handheld gaming
survive
should exist still, because I think it's a great entry point for younger demographics to get introduced and learn mechanics and just learn the ownership side of having to carry around a handheld and not
actually take care of it.
Yeah, and not have the responsibility of a $600 console and a $1,500 TV or a $2,000 phone, right?
Yeah. And it's another item, like if your kid does have a phone, which depending on their age and your choice, do whatever you want, but I can't say anything. But a handheld device that is just for gaming, you can take that shit away. Yep. Right? Yeah. There's no safety concern. They don't need to get in touch with you. It is a gaming dedicated device. But like, here's your device. Here's your hour on the clock. Yoink. Yeah. Right? Like
the other thing is like having the charging cord. So just like it's dead.
Having a battery
life slowly die.
Yeah.
You better save before it dies. Yeah. Welcome to our parenting podcast where we talk about
handheld gaming and kids.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
That would actually be an interesting podcast topic.
It would be.
It would. And I think like you've said, like I know Kyle, you've mentioned it with your kids, like there's certain games where even compared to like when we started, they have like a more advanced starting point where like Mario Kart used to be way simpler than it is now. Like there's assistances and there's things in the games that kind of help you along, but games used to be simpler.
Yeah. And
there was that natural progression, and then you learned and you got coordinated and it made sense. But like now there's so much stuff that's just so complicated, and it's harder to find some of the simpler games. And so I think this is a great way to introduce kids to games. What I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get Kyle to buy his kids like DSs and stuff.
I support this.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
I support this.
It reminds me of that Community episode where that professor that came out of jail after 20 years was like, what happened to Legos?
Those still a
They used
thing?
to be simple. Yeah. All right. I digress. I think we've done a pretty good enough job of diving into handhelds.
Whatever that was.
Whatever that was. And Trevor is slowly convincing me to look into like a 2DS for the kids. They would be happy to hear that Uncle Trevor was working in their favor.
Yep. I'm not funding it though. I can't guarantee any funding.
No.
I have a PSP at my home waiting for him.
I mean, I still have your 3DS sitting right beside me right now.
I
need a Vita.
I've got a Vita for Daryl too. I just need to find myself a replacement Vita.
Vita. It's the only one. It's the only one that eluded me.
Just got to go to Japan, apparently.
Oh my god, yeah.
No, too expensive.
But you missed the Gundam. Okay, this is way off the rails here. Fuck. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram. Don't forget, we're giving away tickets to GameCon. That's another contest on Instagram as well. If you want to go, if you're in Alberta, Edmonton area and want to go to that, sign up for the contest. We've got 5 pairs of tickets to give away. Sign up.
We want to see your faces. Come say
if you want to meet us in person, this is your chance. We're going to be there.
Experience our bullshit live.
Let's go.
See how tall and majestic we are.
It's the first time I've been called tall or majestic.
All right. That's good enough.
Good enough.
Yeah, good enough.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more content. We also invite you to write an email or join us on Discord to talk about anything from our episodes or something else you would like to discuss in the future. Please subscribe to the Good Enough Gaming Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to your podcasts. And remember, we might not be great, but we are good enough.